All right, so I'm out here today checking cameras to see what survived after gun season. This is my dad's uncle's farm where me and my dad both doubled up and shot those nice bucks back on the 4th of November. This is my one and only food plot here this year. Next year, I'm going to have at least 2 other Brassica plots, small, like tiny plots, probably smaller than this. Anyways, I figured I'll just do a quick update on these Brassicas while I'm out here walking around. And maybe a month I'll do another update on the same plot. I'll include it in the same video so you can see how the month of December is like the prime month for brassicas, because usually there's not a ton of snow, and it's what I've noticed the month that they get eaten on the most, especially on these smaller plots. They'll disappear pretty quick, and then once you get into January there'll be more snow, and then they'll be digging for the turnips. So this plot did pretty good this year. This is the second year ground spot. There's a couple big stumps in here. I had cut this out 2 years ago, but on the other side by that dead ash, that's all the third year ground. Anyways, just some absolutely massive turnips. You can see this stuff has just gotten, and they were eating on this way back in September, some of these forage rape and kale plants, because a lot of times they usually don't hit these big green leafy ones until this time, but you can see how decimated this is. Just giant leaves gone all over the place. I mean, these leaves are easily a foot long. A lot of these leaves were up here on the tops. And you can see all the turnips in here, and they'll be digging for them, you know, in about a month once they clean up all these leaves on the top. And last year, this plot was the same exact size as this, but this half did really good, and that half was really weak over there because I didn't fertilize it. This year I fertilized the whole thing, and the whole thing did quite well, you know, better than last year. And I had big plants in here on this same section where I'm at last year, and they ate all this all the way down to like right here. So I expect that to happen again. You know, they're gonna just keep picking away at this all the way down to about almost the ground. It's just crazy. And these are bigger than softballs, these turnips. Absolutely massive out here. This is the plot that I disked it all up, spread my seed, and lightly disked in the brassica seed. I mean, I've had okay results just disking up, broadcasting on top and walking away. But if you don't get a good rain and your seed's just right on top, usually you don't get the best germination. So that's why anything you can do just to like lightly cover up that seed, and don't be afraid of putting it too deep, because I just lightly disc this in. You can drag it in with a four-wheeler and a drag. Anything you can do to just slightly incorporate, or even just drive around in here with the four-wheeler or tractor and just kind of pack it in, and just driving it over will cover up at least 50% of the seeds. I mean, look at how big that is. I got perfect spacing on these plants. I mean, this is about perfect, but then you go areas like this is a little bit thin, but having your brassicas a little thin is better than having them too thick, because you just get these huge plants and they'll just be munched on this the whole winter. In certain scenarios, they don't eat on these giant plants, you know, as good. You want the smaller plants, but you don't want them too small and too thick, where they're kind of like fighting each other for nutrients and turning yellow and stuff. But yeah, I mean, this is gonna last at least into probably middle of January, maybe end of January. They'll have this cleaned up, and this, you can see, is not a big plot by any means. There's a little bit on the other side. I'll just take a look over here quick. This is probably at the very most 1/4 acre. It's not much. And if I were to plant this into like soybeans, it would just get hammered. There'd be nothing left for them. If I were to plant it into corn, I'd have to plant it when the farmer plants corn, because a little plot back here would just get destroyed by raccoons, I feel like. And this is the shadier, quite smaller side. You can see something just ripped it up last night right there, that mock scrape. But Oh, I should mention, I did seed winter rye. That's what this is right here. You can see they've been eating on this winter rye a little bit. It's kind of chomped on everywhere. Big scrape up here from last night. This snow's all from last night. So yeah, we'll just take a quick peek over there. You can see this side doesn't nearly have the volume because it's just, well, this tree's dead. That tree's dead, but you just got a little bit more shade in other trees. It just doesn't nearly get the sunlight as what it should. You can see that side is just so much greener and just full sun out there. These are probably some of the biggest turnips. I mean, they don't get much bigger than that. Unbelievable. And you can see right here is a spot where, like I said, is just a little bit thicker. This is about perfect spacing, where you use up all the available space, but where they're not, you know, where the brassica plants aren't too thick. You can see my winter rye trying to come in here. This stuff will come back with a vengeance in the spring. I'll have to spray that before it gets too thick. So right here's one of the first turnips I've seen ripped out and eaten on. And they look pretty good up in there, considering, you know, there's some big trees right around here. This is the third year ground where the brassicas did not produce at all last year. And they still didn't do quite as good over here. You can see my other mock scrape here is just tore up, tons of fresh tracks right underneath it. I'll put up some of these pictures from today on here, and then I'll put up some pictures from the next couple weeks or a month. Next time I get out here and do an update, I'll have all kinds of pictures at the end of this video of the daylight use and nighttime pictures of the deer out here. You can see it back here, it's really shady. They don't really produce much of anything out here. I'm gonna probably try and cut out this buckthorn right here. I'm gonna take down this dead ash and this dead ash this upcoming spring before they fall in the plot when I don't want them to. It'll just be in the way. And I'm thinking about taking out some of this brush here. I don't want to take it all out. My stand's hidden way back there in that giant oak. So it's that's like the perfect tree for this plot to be tucked off the plot. You know, not where you're, you know, you don't want to set up right here, right on the edge of the plot. Anyways, I'm going to take out a little bit more of this brush here, and hopefully I can get this first corner right here to grow a little bit better, because right now it's not really offering a whole lot of food. All right, so I'm back out here to do the food plot update. I literally just found a shed right on the main trail there. I saw it as I was driving up here before I even stopped, and I was gonna I planned on parking right here anyways and just getting out, doing a quick little video here. And sure enough, there was a shed laying right there. I couldn't believe it. Just right on the main trail, main access trail throughout the whole property. I haven't even walked up here yet, so I could find one on camera yet. I don't even know. But this tiny little brassica plot looks like it's been just tore up. Everything's thawing out. I haven't been out here since the last time I did an update. We just had some real deep, heavy snow, real cold. So they're probably only thing left in here is probably some turnips, I would assume. Most of the brassicas, the forage rape and kale plants are just, looks like they're munched down to the ground. And you remember what this looked like last time. I mean, it was, wow, they really did a number on these brassicas. I mean, look at all them stems. There ain't nothing left. Couple branches broke off this tree with the heavy snow. Wow. I mean, look at that, right down to the ground. I mean, you literally cannot eat that anymore. Look at how big these stems are, just gone. Wow. I mean, they were starting on some of the turnips last time I was in here, but this one looks like it's rotting. But most of the time, these things stay pretty solid until about March, when it really starts warming up. Look at this, unbelievable. That's crazy that the shed fell over there. You think it would have fell somewhere in here where he was spending more time. He had to have just been walking through and or running through and it popped off. I mean, these are some pretty big kale plants right here. I mean, this stuff was almost waist. It was definitely knee high in here. Some of these really big plants. That was all from one seed right there, and just everything just munched down to the ground. This is about as good of results as you can get out of your brassicas. I mean, just eating up everything. Crazy. You could tell that they were trying to rip that one out of the ground. Look at how big some of these turnips were. Just crazy. And I did put in some winter rye in here. That's what some of this stuff is. So this whole plot, I seeded in winter rye. It didn't look like I got the greatest take. I think I seeded it a little bit late. And like I said, most of this plot was about knee high with brassica. So the rye didn't really get the best germination, but that's okay. I plan on just killing it in the spring anyways. But once all this snow melts off and these brassicas are gone, there'll be at least something green for these deer to continue to eat on here. And it should, you know, come back really strong in the spring. And it'll be like shin high by like mid-April. I mean, that's just crazy. I mean, with all the deep snow, they still ripped around in here and got everything down to the ground, even despite the heavy, deep snow. Wow. I'll put up some pictures. I got a trail camera on that tree, and I walked by one over there on that tree. I'll put up some pictures at the end of this here, and I'm just going to do a quick little walk around, see if I can find a shed in the plot, and pretty much get out of here. I'm sure there's tons of deer just bedded, just listening to me talk right now, so I'm not really doing anything good by being out here, but it's fun to be out here and check up on all your hard work paying off. All right, so these are some pictures from the smaller section of the plot where it kind of gets a lot of shade. On and off daylight pictures throughout December. And unfortunately, there's nothing super impressive that made it through the season and is hanging around close by. So it's just a lot of 2-year-old bucks. One of them might be a 3-year-old. But a lot of 2-year-old bucks and a lot of 1.5-year-olds. You can see here, there's just 3 of them on a big battle right there. And this is a buff-colored doe that's been around for at least 5 or 6 years now. Now here's my other camera. This one got a little bit more pictures. This is around Christmas right here. That's the one buck right there. I'm debating if he's a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old because I don't really quite recognize him from last year. And that bigger buck in the distance there, that's the one I actually just picked up a shed off of. Usually from 2 to 3, you're able to recognize bucks, but most of the time from 1.5 to 2.5, you can't recognize them. This is that week of the deep snow and super cold. This is the week by far there was the most pictures. And this is another nice young buck. This buck, I believe, is 2 years old as well. Just a real nice young 10-pointer. All these 2-year-olds should make really substantial jumps next year. It'll be hard to pass them up next year as 3.5-year-olds. And here's that split tine buck. He shed one side, and this could be him showing up. And then that's the side I found. That's 2 days ago. There's another shed buck. So yeah, they're starting to drop, and there's that buff doe again.